Good morning, YouTube. Happy Sunday. Well, I'm out here enjoying this weather, working on my son's little go-kart. It's raining, but hey, he wants it ready to go so he can take it out and drive it. And it's just a little thing. It's electrical little go-kart, but he wants me to fix it. But I'm out here in the rain, just enjoying the weather. And I've been thinking about a lot of these youngsters in the business that maybe had a good year, and now they're considering getting into the agency business. And if that's you, well, I'm going to give you some advice that was given to me many years ago by my mentors that really shaped my career. And the first one was, could I afford it? And what they meant by that was that I have enough in residual income every single month that it would cover all of my monthly bills for my family. And if the answer was no, I wasn't ready. And then second of all, never stop leading your teammates from the front. Meaning, never stop writing business personally. And well, I really embraced that because I respected the people that showed me. And that's helped me over 16 years. And I continue leading from the front every single day. But look, if you're in this situation and you're considering this, and you can afford to do it, let me share why leading from the front can either make you a lot of money or hurt you. And I'm going to share a personal story with one of my agents. When I first got into this business, the first agent that I recruited was actually a college dropout. His father told him to drop out of college and join me as my number one agent at the time. And that's when my agency started. And then my number two agent, his name was Julio Garcia. And Julio came to my house, knocked on my door on a random day. And he told me, Mr. Torres told me to come and talk to you because he says what you're doing selling final expense is very good, and that I should at least consider talking to you because of residual income. Well, I instructed Julio what he needed to do to get licensed. And, one of the things that I remember about Julio was that he was an ex-chip factory worker, and he'd hurt his back. So he was on disability at the time. So sure enough, went and got his license. The first month that he hit the doors with me, he wrote $18,000 in annualized premium, and the rest was history. And that was in late 2005. And by 2008, late 2008, Julio was a top producer with me. My agency was doing over $200,000. And Lincoln Heritage gave us an opportunity, because Lincoln Heritage is a territory organization, but they gave us an opportunity to open up Chicago, Illinois with Spanish. At the time, that was a major opportunity. So with my agency, I went back, talked to all of my guys, and Julio stepped up and says, I will move to Chicago. From Central California, I'll move to Chicago, boss. I'll get rid of my house here. I'll pack my bags, and with my 2 young children and my wife, I will head to Chicago. Well, we went ahead and did it. He packed his bags that December, and he literally moved to Chicago. Well, that was in December of 2008. And the first piece of advice I gave Julio was this. We're going to go ahead and get you all the leads that you need. So you're going to have leads. And we're going to start marketing to penetrate the market and recruit people, Spanish speakers, so we can do final expense like we were doing in California. Julio's like, I'm down, boss. I am going to listen to everything you say, boss. Well, the first 3 months, Julio was our number one producer in Chicago. 3 months. And we started doing Craigslist advertising. We started really pushing and finding people. And we started getting more and more people joining the team in Chicago. We were running our TV Spanish commercials with Golden Memorial, plus doing direct mail. Everything was great. I recommended him to double book his day in case one of his appointments dropped. He had another one in the pipeline, and he followed my instructions because we had so many leads And he was the number one guy that had to go out and knock out that business. Well, 3 months after that, I noticed his production dropped. From averaging 15 to 20,000, it dropped under 10,000. And I made that first phone call to Julio and I said, hey man, what's going on? And he says to me, man, the conditions out here in Chicago are a little bit different than California. Traffic's crazy. And he started giving me a bunch of reasons of what was holding him back from producing. Plus, he was doing interviews. He was living in Joliet and he was traveling into the city. Giving me reasons, right? But even though he was giving me all these reasons, I was still going back to the basics that I learned from all those days of working with Mr. Berrigan in the field. Leading from the front. Second month after that conversation, I hit him up again. His production dropped even further. And he would tell me, look, man, the situations out here is different. It's not like California. People live in high rises, the snow, the weather, the people. I wasn't there, so I was giving him patience. I was giving him that patience. The third month after that first initial phone call, he was at $3,000 in production. We were negative in lead balances because we owed all these leads. And the agency was writing 30, 40,000, but we weren't growing. We were just stuck. And all Julio did was give me reasons of why it wasn't working. And it got to the point where Julio says, hey man, you're not here. I'm here. Well, that really pissed me off, honestly, because he was calling me out. So what I told Julio was the following. I said, Julio, if you don't step up your game and go out there and lead your team from the front and be the number one producer for your organization, this is going to fail and we're going to look like a bunch of losers. Well, he kept on resisting. And I finally told him the following thing. I said, look, if you don't change things, come January 2nd, I'm going to bring another manager into the mix. And that new manager, Ricardo, he's going to help you train these people and he's going to lead. And he's going to be flying back and forth to Chicago from California. And here's the deal, Julio. Your override, you're going to have to split it with Ricardo because now I have to bring him in because you're challenging me. Well, he got even more upset with me. Well, what do you guys think happened? December of 2009, that agency did $24,000. It died. And I showed up January 2nd, 2010 in Chicago, Illinois, on Michigan Avenue at the Intercontinental, downtown in the financial district. It was snowing cats and dogs. And I told him I was going to go there and show him how important it was to lead from the front and that it didn't matter where you lived. He was providing me with excuses. So sure enough, I packed my bags. We flew to Chicago with my ex-wife and my young child and Ricardo and our supporting staff. And I got all those agents in the room. I had a notary there and I had, I think, 30 or 40 contracts. And those contracts said the following. They said, if you follow our program to the T with zero excuses, I'm going to go out in the field with you guys for 1 week. So for 1 week, we're at this hotel. I'm going to go out in the field and I'm going to lead you guys from the front and we're going to go out and write business. That was in January. Everybody signed that contract, which basically said that if they didn't make at least $3,000 doing what I was going to show them, then I would give them the rest. And there was only one of those agents out of 40, Arcadio Gutierrez, who I had to write a check for $700 because he didn't make that benchmark. And that was not a problem. I kept my word and I paid him the $700. But the rest of those people, I never had to write a dollar for it. All the complaints ended. In that whole week, I showed Julio that leading from the front is the only way you're going to make it, regardless of where you live in the country. So what happened? Well, after that week of working, I had that contract signed. The agency did over $60,000. And by April, 4 months later, The agency was over $262,000, which was the fastest that any agency had ever grown in the history of Lincoln Heritage. And to top it off, it was 100% Spanish applications. Eventually, Julio, still in the business today, he's made millions of dollars. But for Julio, he learned a valuable lesson that year that cost him half of the override commission to Ricardo. And in fact, Ricardo's the one operating that group now in Chicago, because Julio's no longer in Chicago. So think about that story. Sometimes, guys, it's so easy to lose track of leading from the front. You start buying into what your agents are telling you, or the reasons, excuses. And it's so easy for you to buy into their weakness. It's so easy for you to buy into their excuses of, oh, well, you're from California. Here in Chicago, it snows. Here in Chicago, West Chicago is dangerous. Guess what? All of it was excuses. Because in that one whole year, Julio could not do over 40, 50,000. And in 1 month, we crushed his whole record. And within 4 months, by showing him this simple concept of leading from the front, we set records that were never seen before at Lincoln Heritage at $262,000, 100% applications. And today, Golden Memorial has a stronghold in Chicago, Illinois, not only in Spanish, but they also took over the Anglo market as well. So if you're watching this and you're considering doing an agency, make sure that you have the resources to pay your bills every month. And also make sure that you lead your team from the front. I see a lot of people that say, well, lead from the back, that you'll do more. I disagree with that. 100%. I disagree with it. And if you don't believe me, ask them to show you their residual check. And I promise you they won't. Call me and I'm going to show you my residual check. It's a 5-figure residual check every single month. And I'll show it to you. That's what it takes, leading from the front. So think about that, because if you don't lead from the front, you rely on hiring somebody to do the job for you of selling and teaching it, chances are it's going to happen to you what happened to poor Julio in 2008 and 2009 when he got sucked in by all the negativity of those agents that had never sold anything. That's the thing. So let that sink in. If you guys would love to learn what it is that we're doing today, leading from the front virtually, give me a call. I get on the phone every single day with my teammates to train them, to show them, and develop them. And personally, I write 10 to 20 applications a week. If you don't believe me, come and see what I do. I'll let you shadow me. And if you can duplicate it, I will set you up from your personal home office, regardless of where you live. And I'll provide you thousands of leads a year so you can go out and write business. And if that interests you, you can work from home, because this is a virtual opportunity. So you guys enjoy your Sunday. I'm going to finish here working on my son's little toy go-kart. And if I can help you guys, just give me a call. Peace.